Hello. Welcome everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. Today is Thursday, October 28th. For anyone who's new here, I do these live streams every Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central. And I go over anything related to Webflow, to how to build layouts in Webflow, using Webflow in general, how to create animations and interactions in Webflow. I also provide super chat support via the super chat feature in YouTube. So if you need help with your personal project, you can just drop a super chat and I'll be happy to help with any of your projects. So yeah, Thursdays are usually the more laid back streams. I don't really have too much on the agenda today. We'll continue kind of finishing this build here, and we only have a few more sections here for this build. But in the meantime, while I'm building, you can just write anything in chat, ask any questions. Thursdays we usually have more of a kind of a discussion about different topics regarding web design and development. But yeah, if you've seen my live streams the past few days, we've been covering the FinSuite client first system, and it's just a style system to help you stay organized. If you don't have a style system or a class naming convention, you can take a look at client first, and they provide you with all the documentation and information you need to properly structure your website. So this entire site here was built using the client first system. It does need to be polished up a little bit, but we just I went through the style guide, or this template here in Figma, and then just built it in Webflow using the client first system. So I'll go ahead and jump in. We'll quickly look at the agenda for today. It's going to be pretty straightforward, and we might not stick to this agenda fully, but this is what we will be covering today. So from 12 to 12:30, we're going to continue building the site with the client first style system. From 12:30 to 12:40, I'll field any questions about the recent build. And from 12:40 to 1, we'll have a general Webflow discussion, and I'll take any super chats. All right, cool. So yeah, that's what's on the agenda for today. And yeah, let's just continue building this here. And hello, Amkar. No worries. Yeah, we've been going over the client first system the past week. It's been a lot of fun. So I'm just gonna create these few sections, and then we'll move on, and I'll just look at different Webflow projects that could be fun for today. We'll look at different websites, kind of get inspiration from different sites, and just talk shop as far as web design and development. All right, hey Yao, how's it going? So here, let me finish out this form here. So we just need to style it. So I'm gonna go into Webflow. I'll select the form. Let me request design control. Okay, so we have this form. I'll go ahead and label it newsletter form dash wrapper, something like that. I'll set it to flex, and great. And then for this text field, we'll just say newsletter underscore text field. And I'll remove this margin from the bottom. And this form wrapper, let's see, text field. And the button, we have some margin or padding here at the bottom, so I'm trying to remove that. Let me see if I set the text field to 100% in height. No, that didn't do it. Let's see, form wrapper. Let me try this again. 100%. I'll just use a specific pixel value. How about that? 50 pixels. And the button as well, we'll do, actually let's grab it here, see how tall this is, 40 pixels. So we'll do 40 pixels for this text field, and the button will also do 40 pixels in height. So it matches up nicely. And I will remove the border from this text field. So it does look like it has a border, but let's see, it's not showing it to me. Let's see, newsletter. Text field, newsletter form, no border, no border. Where's the border at? All right, so I guess I'll add a border and then remove it. Yeah, you have to add it and then remove it. Okay, so there's no border. I'm gonna add a border radius to the left and the right. So we'll say 8 and 8. So it just has a little border there. The submit button should have a border on the right. We'll say 8 and 8. And for the submit button, we'll remove the padding from the top and the bottom, and we'll add more padding to the left and the right. Cool. So then for this content wrapper, I want to add some padding. So I'm going to place all these elements. Oh wait, so it does have padding. Newsletter, padding, extra. Oh, this should go in here. Yeah, and then that's centered. Okay. Newsletter form should be 100%. And then this heading, let's see. Yeah, let's set the max width here to max width large. There we go. And we'll put the heading in a div block. So again, this is specific to client first, where margin padding is added to div blocks. So I'll add margin bottom, and we'll say margin large. Okay. And yeah, that looks pretty close. I might set this newsletter form to maybe 80%, so it's a little bit smaller, and then set it to auto so it's centered. Cool. Yeah, I like that. That looks good. Yeah. And for the padding, I might do, instead of padding extra large, I'll do, let's see, newsletter wrapper, container large. Oh, I see. Yeah, so I'll just apply it to this. Remove class, padding, extra large. Yeah, that's good. Nice. So we have that section here. And then we have this section right down here. So for this, I will create a new section. And I'll call this contact section. Contact dash section. We will add a div block, set the padding to extra large, padding extra large, and we'll add the container and just give it container large. So all these are preset classes from client first. And then in the container, so then we add the component. So this will be a div block, and then I'll say contact underscore content dash wrapper, and then we'll say div block contact underscore content left, and then I'll copy and paste, duplicate this class, or just remove it, and I'll say contact underscore content right. Okay, then for the content wrapper, I'll set it to flex, horizontal, and we already have this design here, so I'm just going to copy and paste it. We have it right up here. So I'm going to call this, I'm just going to copy this, or copy this semicircle, and let's see, let's set this to 60% and this to 40% for now. And then in the content left, I'm just going to paste that semicircle, and then I'll paste this semicircle. And for content left, I'll set it to flex and center. And cool, so we have that little design there. That looks good. And I'll set it to 50% actually, so it'll be 50-50, and then this will be 50% for the contact. Okay, so we have this heading, this text, and then the form. So in the content right, I'll add a heading. It'll be an H2 heading, and I'll say any questions. Then I will add a paragraph, and we'll just copy this text here, and I'll paste in there. Let me try that again, and I'll paste in here, and then we'll add a form. So I'll say form, we'll add a form block, perfect. And we want to add to this form block, we'll add another field label, place it in there, and then we'll add a text area. Okay, so it's going to be your name, email address, and message. Okay, so I'll just name these. So I'll say contact underscore text dash field and contact underscore text or field label. And I'll just apply these to all of these because I'm going to restyle them. Field label, contact underscore field label. Nope. Let me do that again. Contact underscore field dash label. And then we have contact text field. So I'll add it to this one. Text field. And this will be contact underscore text area. And then we will have contact underscore submit button. Cool. All right, so let's restyle it to look like this. So this text is, yeah, that should be fine. It's system UI, which I'm using. Yeah, so we have to style the text field. So it's gonna have a border of, let's see, 3F, or I can use my own color here. So for the border, we'll set a border like this. And I'll set the color to this darker black. And we'll set the border radius to 5 pixels. Okay, and for the contact text area, we'll give it a border and set it to 5 pixels, and we'll use this color. All right, and then for the min height for the text area, we'll say 200 pixels, just so it's a bit larger. That might be too large, 150. So one thing to note about text areas is that if you try to apply a height just to the height, it won't do it. You have to add a min height. So, 150 will work here. And then the button, let's see here if I have, in my style guide, if I have buttons. I think I do. Yeah, so we have just a regular button. We'll use that. And so I'll select it, and let me remove this class and just say button. Okay, that looks good. Button, and I'll say is contact. So I'll make it width 100%, and we'll add a border radius of 5. Great, and for the contact text field, let's add some rems of margin to the bottom. So I'll say 2 rem. And for the text area, I'll also say 2 rem from the bottom. And then for this paragraph, so let me add a div for the heading. And I'll place the heading in this div, and I'll give this div margin bottom, and we'll say margin medium, maybe margin small. And then for this paragraph, we'll also place it in a div block, and I'll place it right out here, put the paragraph in there, and I'll say margin bottom, and we'll do margin small. This should be margin a bit larger. Maybe margin large. Yeah, let's try that. That looks good. Okay, so we're done with the contact section. It's a bit wider than I want it to be, so let's set it to 40%. And we'll set the contact left to 60%. Okay, that looks good. All right. Yeah. I'd probably add some more padding to these sections, or maybe not. They look pretty good. And I might change the color of this newsletter to we set it to white. No. Yeah, we'll just do something like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna go over the footer. The footer is just a couple of elements here. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to showcase today. Hey Dylan, how's it going? I think we're done with the site. Let's make it responsive too, that last section. So let's go to the tablet view. Yeah, this needs some work. So I would, let me do is-contact and is-contact. And we'll just make this smaller. So like 200 by 300 and 100 by 200. No, this should be 200 by 400. And this should be, let's do 150 by 300. Cool. And then for the content wrapper, let's set it to vertical, center, and yeah, we'll put this, we'll set it to last, so it goes to the bottom, and we'll make this 80%. And content right. Yeah, and then I'll add some margin of like 2 rem from the bottom. Maybe 4. Something like that. Yeah, and you could do it either way. Like I could set this to first and then apply the margin to this 4 rem. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. Okay. And yeah. That looks okay on tablet. This is a bit big. I'd probably make this smaller. So 200 by 400 and 150 by 300. Cool. Yeah, I'd add more spacing between these. Let's say 2 rem. Yep. Cool. And then mobile landscape. So I see that the text changes sizes. So the text changes sizes based on the client first system. So they have different text sizes for different devices. And mobile portrait. So this could use a bit of work. It's a lot of text. I would remove this margin and yeah, maybe set this to 100 by 200 and this would be 50 by 100, something like that. This would need a bit of work. Yeah, something like that. That looks okay. That looks okay. For this, I would the newsletter form, I would set it to vertical and 100%. Yeah, this is where the padding gets weird. So maybe is mobile, and then I would remove all this padding, or just set it to 1.5 or something like that. And the submit button, I would remove or add the radius to all sides. And for this, I would do the same. And then add some margin. Yeah, something like that. For this, I would content left, set it to 100%, and make these smaller, 100 by 200, and 100 or 50 by 100, and center this, and that looks okay. Cool. So that was just a quick, obviously I'd spend more time with this, but just to showcase how I would go about making this responsive. It can be pretty quick in Webflow. They do have a responsive version here. I'm not going to spend too much time with it here, but it's fairly similar. Some of the text is a bit smaller. And I think I would maybe want to resize some of the text. But this is how the text is styled out of, or is styled using the client first system. So yeah, don't really want to change it there. Just want to use their system and see how it works. Yeah, some of the spacing could use some work and all that. So yeah, I think I'm done with this site and the client first system. So yeah, I guess I'll do a quick review of what I think about it. I personally think if I was really building this for a client, I would maybe go more in depth as far as adding combo classes and styling things differently. But for me, it just feels a bit limiting. I don't know if I want to use these font sizes for tablet. Maybe I have a different font size in mind, right? Maybe I don't want my font size to be this size or my heading to be this size on mobile, right? I want a different size, and you probably can change it, but then to me that starts defeating the purpose of the style system, right? You want a style system that you're using initially from the beginning, so you're not constantly changing values, and then you get confused if you do try to reference their documentation. So if you like the spacing, the styling, the sizes of the font, then this could work. But for me personally, I find it a bit limiting. I like to use my own styles for different projects, and some, not all projects are created equal. And I know you can add combo classes and custom classes in client first, but if I'm going to start with the design system initially, I don't want to start reinventing the design system as I'm going with it. If I were to do that, I might as well just start with my own system. With that said, if you don't have a style system, if you need help organizing your classes, then this could be a good starting point for you. This could be a good starting point with, understanding how Webflow works. If you don't like the idea of just jumping into Webflow and having no idea what you're doing, then this is definitely, could definitely be a good approach to starting with Webflow, right? Because then you have a Rails system. You're not just in the wild trying to build with Webflow. You have a clear style guide that you're playing off of, and that could be beneficial if you're the type of person that requires that organization with any skill that you're learning. So yeah, that's my take on it. Don't have anything, great to say about it, and don't have anything really bad to say about it. So I'm glad I spent the time with it. I will say I'm not a fan of adding, margin and padding to parent elements. But the more you work with it, you probably get used to it. As far as being for clients, I do think the client would have to understand a bit about web design and development to even attempt to understand this system, right? And it goes with any style system, right? If the client's never worked with your site, there would still need to be communication between you and the client or you and the team as to your naming convention. And even if you are using the system, you still have to communicate to the client like, hey, I'm using the client first system. And what's great about it actually is that there's a lot of documentation on it. So the client could just read this. It is a lot, but there's also a lot of videos. So if the client wants to immerse themselves and really understand how the project was built, they could watch all the videos. But how likely is it that a client will do that? I don't know, honestly. Maybe a team would do that. Like a whole team gets together on the same page and says, hey, we're going to use the client first system. Let's watch all the videos. Let's understand how this works. And we're going to use this method moving forward. I could see it working in that way. But if you just, your client asks you for a site and then you hand the project off to the client and say, hey, I use the client first system for this. This is how it works. If you want to make any changes, what are the chances that the client's not going to mess up something, or add a combo class where it's not supposed to be? I mean, the chances are low that wouldn't happen, in my opinion, or in my own thinking, unless the client went through all this information. So yeah, there's I don't feel like there's a perfect solution, if there ever will be a perfect solution to, or the perfect style system. It comes down to having a good understanding of web design and development, first and foremost, having a good understanding of class naming and Webflow. And at the end of the day, you're still going to have to communicate with your client. So however you do that, that's up to you. And I think, the system could just be something that might facilitate or help with that. It could, but again, it is a lot of documentation to go through, and yeah, you still have to be on the same page with whoever you're working with. I know that was a bit vague. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully I communicated that clearly. I'm not saying don't try the client first system. In the end, I think you'll just have to try it and see if it's for you. I think I've done enough videos on it now that you might get the gist of how it works. But they outlined it pretty well. Here's the page structure. Just make your site look like this: sections, page padding, or page wrapper, nav component, main wrapper, section, and each section, make it look like this, or name it section, then the section identifier, then add some page padding, then the container, and then add your components and elements in that container. And then for margin and padding, wrap the element in a div block and apply the margin and padding to the parent element. And then you have a list of global classes that you can select from as they go through here. Typography is all set. They've sized it for you and all that good stuff. Text styles, font weights, alignment, color, rich text, buttons, spacing, margin and padding, custom responsive spacing. So yeah, I probably could have used this maybe. Yeah, this is kind of a part I skipped over as far as making it responsive. But they do have these custom classes that I could have used for tablet and mobile. So yeah, I could have used like is tablet small, is mobile, is header, stuff like that. So I think I did try that actually. So on one of these I did is mobile. But I don't know if is mobile came with any preset classes. No, I think it's just a combo class that you add and then you can customize. If I'm reading that correctly, maybe I'm not. Let me read it real quick. Yeah, okay, they're just examples, yeah. So margin top, margin extra large, is tablet small. So you just add a combo class for responsive design, right? So let me try to find an example where I might want to add more margin or padding. So right here, let's say for this heading, so margin bottom, I could say is mobile, and I could say 2rem here. 2rem. So it adds more margin at the bottom. But yeah, now we have 3 combo classes. So I never have this many combo classes in my builds, to be honest. The most, I rarely have 2 combo classes, or 2 classes. Usually I only have one classes. The only time I have combo classes is if I need a different background for different elements, or a different color for different elements, or something, or different padding or something for different elements, or I'm building different layouts and I need different spacings for specific layouts. So yeah, that's, I didn't talk about this too much, but you can add combo classes for tablet and mobile and customize it. So that's one thing they go over. So in the end, I read through some of the documentation, and what I got out of it, like a lot of it's like you can use your own custom classes. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that's what I do anyway. And they just give you a nice little set of global classes that you can start with. So not knocking it, but and then they give you how to name your custom classes. So I guess that's one good thing. Like, they try to give you structure in the sense of, like, when you name your custom classes, name it with a keyword and then something more descriptive, like keyword underscore and then describe that element. But in that case, you could just search the BEM model or some type of way to name your classes. So anyways, I know I'm talking too much about it, but yeah, I guess it's because I've used Webflow and I have my own system that I'm kind of like, So nothing against you, Joe, or FinSuite. You guys, I mean, the amount of effort and energy put into this is commendable. And hopefully it does take off, because I know people are looking for structure in Webflow. Webflow doesn't give you structure out of the box. So like I said before, I would say 8 times out of 10, you'll find a site that's like div block 1, div block 2, div block 106, and that's what you definitely don't want to do. So the fact that they put this together, that they were aware that users need some type of structure, I think is definitely a push in the right direction. As a more maybe maybe intermediate advanced user, I'm kind of like because I've used Webflow so much. I have my own ways of naming things, and my own way of styling and applying margin padding, without using so many classes. And basically I've gotten to the point where when I'm building, I look for the path of least resistance and the path that will not add more to the site. So if one class can achieve a specific thing, then I only need that one class. And I'll reuse classes for sure. Like, I'll reuse the container element throughout my site. That's one thing I don't want to have variations of. The container, if it's a specific size, I'll use that container throughout the entire site. But then I have wrappers, right? For different components, I have wrappers and div blocks that I use for those components, and I can always adjust the margin padding on each of those components. And then for sections, I do name the sections. I have different class names for different sections. And actually, a good example will be when I release my new template, I can showcase how I built that, right? And you'll see that I'm not using tons of classes, and it's effective, And I do use page wrapper. That's one thing that this system does. It uses page wrapper. I don't use main wrapper, which I might start doing. That was an interesting point they made, because it kind of lets the search engines know that this is the main content of the page. So that's something I might consider. But yeah, I think I've harped on this enough. Client first offers, these other classes, colors, components. Components is just a naming convention. Layouts, they tell you they don't have classes for layouts, because they don't want you to apply specific classes for layouts, because every layout could be different. So that's not really anything. It's just saying, hey, name your own, create custom classes for your layouts. That's basically what they're saying here under layouts and under components. Like, hey, create your custom classes for components. And then the mindset is keywords, right? The mindset is keywords, like just giving you a way to name your classes. So yeah, I think I've harped on it enough. Yeah, and this is more like, we're going kind of meta here. Not meta, but for us more intermediate users and advanced. If you're new to Webflow, probably some of what I'm saying isn't super important, or maybe it is if you want that structure. But for us who've used Webflow a lot, this is like some meta talk about like just the the space of web design and development in general. So yeah, I've harped on it enough. So cool. That'll be my last thing I build with client first, and maybe I'll revisit it. Who knows? So Vay wrote, "Are you interested in the membership beta?" Absolutely. We'll see if I join it, but I do want to show how to use memberships if there's a beta now, definitely. Pablo wrote, "I'm with you, John. Client first is not for everyone or for every project, for sure." Eunice wrote, "I'm pretty in line with you, John, on client first. FinSuite should have named it differently. It's rather a good design system for an agency or a freelancer. Not every client could go through it." Yeah, definitely. I haven't looked through the forums or have read what other users are saying about it, but I'd be curious, actually. I might do that today and just see what the sentiment is around this system, right? And I'm sure there's going to be people that are all for it, and people who are going to be maybe like me, who are going to be like, and people who might just not like it at all. Like, I'm not in that camp where I'm like, oh, this is horrible, but I'm just like, So yeah. Cool. So let's see. Let's go to the Webflow showcase. I mean, there's always some good stuff in the Webflow showcase. We're just gonna have a free forum now, like of discussion, or if you have any questions or you want to share your experiences with Webflow, feel free to do that. I'm not gonna cover anything too in depth now. It's Thursday. It's the last day of the week as far as my live stream. So I just want to open it up to any discussion or anything related to Webflow, web design, or web development. And by the end of Thursday, I'm kind of fried a little bit too. So I'm like, after building every day, and I'm not just building in the live stream. Afterwards, I do have my own projects that I work on. So I work on Webflow quite a bit. So by Thursday, I'm kind of like, I don't want to build any layouts. I don't want to add any div blocks or anything like that. Let's just get inspired and be refreshed for next week. Cool. So yeah, I'll just go through some of these Webflow projects. We're looking at Popular, and this one's by Not Another TM. That's a cool name. And that's a nice animation. Looks like Lottie. Cool. Very nice. The contrast here, so this text is white. Hey, Excellence wrote, hey, WebDev for you, Eunice, Dylan, and everyone here. What's up, Excellence? Dylan wrote, when you say membership, do you mean so people can sign up, save card details, shipping address, stuff like that? I'm not sure, Dylan. I don't know how the extent of the membership feature in Webflow, or if there's even a beta, or what announcements have been made around that. Can't say much there. Can you go over the Webflow price plan as a freelancer? It's a bit confusing. Absolutely. Great point, Kavita. So let's go to the Webflow pricing. And this is something that confuses a lot of users. And let me just grab some water here. I use a big cup for water, so if you watch me drink water, it's just like I actually use it for baking. I have a lot of these. I don't know what you call them, just plastic cups, and I bought a set for baking, and all my ingredients go inside of it, and I like it because it's big, and I just put water in it and I can drink out of it. So every time I drink water, I always have small cups, so using a bigger cup, I can make less trips to get water. So that's the story behind this. I know it's kind of awkward and clunky, but that's the reason I use this for water. All right, cool. So yeah, the pricing in Webflow. When I was working in support, this question would come up a lot. Okay, cool. So that's interesting. Pablo, thank you for sharing that. I will talk to a few people to see if I can get access, and I might want access for a specific reason, but I don't know if they will. Yeah, I'm currently a template developer, so I definitely want to get on that, so I can provide that. I've heard that Webflow might change the price system soon because it's so confusing. Hopefully that happens soon. Pablo wrote, John, you need to get branded mugs. Yeah, maybe I'll get a merch store. I did launch my new site recently. It is pretty basic, so I'm currently going to start designing like a new site and it might take a while, but I want the site to be, I didn't really like my previous site. It was too dark and it had too many bright colors, and maybe some people did like it, but I just thought the color scheme was too much and I wanted a more simple site. So now my site is just basically a white background with text and elements. But I want, my next site for WebDev for You, I want it to be pretty amazing. So I'm going to spend time designing that. And then maybe there could be a merch store for sure. Yeah, so let me continue here with the site plans. So basically, for Kavita, if you're a freelancer, it depends what you're trying to do, right? Like if you're a freelancer and you need more than 2 projects in your dashboard, or you want to play with more than 2 projects, I would recommend the light account plan, which allows you for 10 projects in your dashboard, and those projects don't require a site plan. Or if you're a freelancer and you know how to use Webflow, you're not really interested in creating projects that are not for clients, what I would recommend is a free account plan and just purchasing site plans. Because once you purchase a site plan for a project, it unlocks pretty much everything you need for the project. So like if you purchase a site plan, you can then use custom code. You can use if you have a CMS site plan, you can use the CMS, and so on and so forth. And by adding a site plan, you can add a custom domain to the project. You have, hosting and more hosting features. But that would require that you pay for the site plan up front. So as a freelancer, if I was a freelancer getting started with Webflow, I would definitely opt for the light account plan, just because I have 10 projects to work with, right? You're limited to 2 projects on the free account plan and 2 pages per project in the free account plan. So that's very limiting. So I would at least go with the light account plan. And then every time you work for a client, you can purchase a site plan for the client. And you can even use client first to have the client pay for the project. Or pay for the site plan. So if you do client, hold on one sec. Client first, Webflow, not client first. What is it? I'm so used to saying client first now. What is it when your client can pay for the project? Client billing. Okay. Yeah, client billing, Webflow. You can set up client billing, and then you do need a Stripe account, and then you can charge your client for the site plan. And then you could even charge the client a little bit extra and make profit for your efforts as far as building the site. Cool. So C7407 wrote, I thought I had to pay to use the embed feature as a designer and also pay for a site plan. Is that not the case? No, once you add a site plan, you can use custom code features like the embed element. So if we type in custom code, Webflow, it should say it here. If you have a paid Webflow account, or if your project has an active site plan, you can add custom blocks of HTML code to your sites to unlock all kinds of custom functionality. So yeah, either an account plan or a paid site plan. And that's the part that confuses a lot of people in my opinion. So hopefully Webflow comes out with the pricing system that is a bit easier to understand. But once you get used to it, you're kind of like, oh, okay, this is what I need to pay for in order to use specific features. But it is a pain point for a lot of users. I know users get confused, and when I was in support, that would come up a lot. Like, people would be like, hey, what plan do I need? Or, how do I do this, this, and this? But yeah. But Webflow to me is like the most powerful web design tool out there. So, for the pricing to be a little bit of a pain in the butt, I'm like, okay. And it's not really. Once you understand it, you're like, okay, this is what I need to use Webflow. All right, so let's go through. I was going through this site here. Yeah, for this site, we can see that the contrast of the text is not great because these texts are pretty bright, or the images are bright and the text is white. That's not true, Dylan. It's pretty bad. He wrote, it's pretty bad. You can't add custom code after purchases of an e-commerce plan, but you then have to buy an additional plan. No, if you buy a site plan, an e-commerce site plan for your site, you can then add custom code and you don't need an account plan. If you're saying about buying an e-commerce template and then needing a site plan, that's true. Okay, yeah, so we have this text, it's white. Yeah, so I'm just looking through this template here. But it's not bad, It's kind of interesting. Interesting image, okay. Not sure I would use that image, but sure. But yeah, I think this might be the designer, but I'm not 100%. Anyway, yeah, no, custom code. If you purchase an e-commerce site plan, you can use custom code in the project. Any site plan you purchase, you can use custom code, as mentioned here. Yeah, paid account plan or an active site plan. An active site plan could be basic, CMS, business, or e-commerce. All right. Yeah, that's a better picture. I would probably use that picture there. Sorry, man. His name is Alex, I think. All right, cool. Yeah, don't mean to be weird about that. Okay. Yeah, the design is not bad. So Alex did a good job. So it's not another, I think it's a brand agency. Let's see. Yeah. I answered a lot of those questions, Dylan. So it's like, if I got that wrong, I'd be a bit embarrassed because I've answered so many of those questions. Okay, this is called Launchpad by Relum. Looks like 2 designers. Oh, I like this design. I like the gradient. They have a video. Good stuff. Very nice. Looks good. These pictures, I'd make them higher quality. Yeah, nice. Let's go to awards.com. That might be a bit more fun. Let's see. Kind of want to check this one out. It says, "Are you okay?" Okay. That's fine. That's funny. Measuring equipment for okay emotional readings. Best experienced with devices with sound turned on. turn down my volume. Resume. Cool. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'll come back to that later. Resume. Let's see. Oh yeah. This looks cool. Open live site. Oh wow. That's really nice design. So it's Dan. Oh, Adam. Oh no, that's a co-founder. It's good stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna get into these gradients and these textures. So maybe for next week, let's focus on gradients and textures. That might be really fun because this design element is really, it's kind of trending now, and it's a very nice design where we have these gradients and then you have like a texture to elements. I like that a lot. So I want to play with that a bit more. So this is a clonable. That's very cool. Go ahead and clone it and dissect it a little bit. Yeah, that's one thing as far as WebDev for you. I want to level up the design because I feel like some of my design is not up to par with some of these other brands. So I want to level that up a little bit. So here we have, this is most likely position sticky. Let's see, where do we have position sticky? So right here, position sticky. Okay, cool. So with this, they applied position sticky to this January text, and they are using, oh, interesting. So they're using a similar class naming convention. Oh wait. Yeah, it almost looks like they're using client first for this. If they're not, it's very similar. They put the heading in a parent element. So is that a thing now? Like, yeah, padding vertical extra large. Let me look at the classes here. Yeah, no. I wonder if they used client first for this. Yeah, they're using the similar idea of client first for this, where like, so we can see here it says margin bottom extra large. So am I behind? Are designers using this more than not? Like, I don't know. No, this came out way before client first. Interesting. That's very interesting because they're using a similar idea as client first, right? For like the paragraphs and the headings, they don't apply margin and padding, and maybe they just want to retain the global classes. They don't want to give the headings specific classes. I guess I could see the value in that, of like not having any custom heading classes and just leaving them global, and then applying margin and padding to other elements. All right, I'm gonna browse through more like upscale projects like this, or more like popular projects, I should say, just to get a feel of what people are doing, I guess. I mean, in the end, if it works and you're not using a lot of classes, I think that's the goal, but it's kind of an interesting thing. One thing I might do is I might start adopting for my personal projects. I can't do it with templates, but I like the idea of having the keyword, the underscore, and then a more descriptive term. So like here, timeline underscore date text. Like this is timeline underscore text. So you have the keyword, which is the more descriptive, like it describes the component or the element, and then you get more detailed by adding an underscore and more information. So I do like that. Cool. So let me see how they did this. They applied position sticky. This timeline is a grid. So the grid that's really nice. So they have a grid, 1 FR, 1 FR. This middle piece is 180 pixels. That's nice. And then, let's see how they did this. How did they do this? This is an interesting design. Center, they have the circle. I'm guessing it's position sticky as well. Oh, cool. So the text and the circle, they always stay in the center of the screen because it's position sticky. And then once we get here, it moves up, and then this one stays in the center of the screen. That's clever. That's very clever. So I'm wondering for this line here, see if I can find that line. Let's see, with that line, timeline item, progress, here it is. So it's positioned fixed. It's positioned 50 from the bottom, 50 VH from the bottom. Oh, that's clever. And then this bottom, so we have the progress. It's 100%. Height. And then progress bar. Let me remove this. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'd have to analyze that one a bit more. So this is position sticky, this progress bar. It's 100% timeline progress. And then progress bar is 50 VH. And it's fixed. Yeah, that's an interesting effect that I kind of want to study that a bit more. But yeah, they did a really good job with this. The responsiveness looks good. Oh, I like that they put the timeline on the left. That's good design. And then mobile, same thing. So did they just change the grid here? Yep, the grid, they just, good stuff. Yeah, the progress bar stays in place. Oh yeah, so it's just position sticky. And let's see. Yeah. Oh yeah, it does just stay in place. That is so ingenious. If that's the word, ingenious, or just clever, very clever. Such a interesting kind of illusion in a way, or interesting visual thing, where you think the progress bar is actually moving, but it's not, it stays in place. Yeah. And then we're just going down. That's so cool. Maybe I'll showcase how to do that in a interaction or something. That's very cool. Let me check another project by them. They seem to have a lot of nice stuff. This reminds me of the wizardry design. That's why I want to get into like the those gradients and stuff and those textures. Ooh, that's dope. Yeah, this reminds me of like the Wizardry site. Oh, that is super nice. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So Dan and Adam, yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, that's super nice design. So Relume, is that so if you go to Relume, I'm guessing this is their actual website. So can you clone this? Yeah, you can clone it. Good stuff. Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll keep doing things like this. We'll review other people's work. Oh, this looks nice. That's super nice. Yeah, these textures I'm really liking. They add a lot to design. This is like a beauty site. That's really nice. Oh man. This one's not clonable. I wouldn't think. That's like somebody would pay a lot of money, I think, for a design like this. Click request access. Yeah, that's top design stuff right there. All right. Yeah, this is it's a really cool portfolio. Great work. All right, so that's going to be it for today's live stream. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for sticking through all the client first build. I mean, not sticking through it. It was a good exercise and a good practice. You know, I learned a lot about class naming, and yeah, it's just good practice to go through these different systems and, you know, kind of develop as a web designer and developer. So next week, let's get more into design. Let's look at gradients and textures and see how we can, you know, bring more life to a design using these different design practices. So yeah, thanks everyone. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the weekend. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Thank you. Peace.